So,
So you are doing Arjun on H&M,
yeah,
and you have identified as a problem for them is their inventory planning.
the main
They
problem
have
I've identified is to improve their customer experience. So inventory, again, a byproduct to how to improve the customer experience. I want to understand the behavioral aspect of H&M customers and potential customers, and what can H&M do to improve that in the process.
Arjun, that's a nice topic. But before go into this topic,
Mm-hmm.
try to understand the brand pillars. What is
Mm-hmm.
H&M's pillars for? When they started, as a fashion, as a fast fashion, giving
Correct.
a good the latest trend at very pocket friendly prices. That was
Correct.
the brand positioning of H&M.
Correct.
Tomorrow's trend at very pocket friendly prices.
Correct.
Now, come to this, since the fashion is a very fast moving or a very dynamic sector, the trends keep on moving very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So, what happens is that your supply chain is not able to adapt to those speed, I would
Correct.
call it.
Correct.
So the fast fashion, if you ask me, is it's not the trend monitoring. It's not the trend picking up of the trend from the roads and making it out, or from the catwalks and putting it on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
It's a I would call it a supply chain model.
Mm-hmm.
Until unless your supply chain is robust, you cannot have a faster fashion brand, or you will falter.
Mm-hmm.
And to do in order to move forward, customer experience or engagement comes at the last subset of your customer journey.
Mm-hmm.
First start, once you picked up the trend, fashion trend,
Mm-hmm.
how fast can you produce that fashion trend and put it on the shelf?
Correct.
Can you do it faster than Zara?
Mm-hmm.
Zara used to do it in 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, from catwalk to the shelf across the
Mm-hmm.
globe.
Yeah, the lead time was very.
Forever 21, Forever 21 was based on two different pillars,
Mm-hmm.
which was tomorrow's trends today at pocket friendly prices. That was the first premise. Second one was large number of trends or styles,
Mm-hmm.
and third pillar of for Forever 21 was limited number of SKUs per style, or a limited number of
Keeping
in
it.
that particular collection. It was so in luxury we call something called less is more, but
Mm.
in fast fashion you have to spread out fast. You
Correct.
have to create the sense of urgency, because
Mm.
every 2 months the trend is changing, or
Mm.
every 1 month the trend is changing. And
Yeah.
thanks to Instagram, thanks to social media, the trend is now changing every week.
Correct. Yeah.
So how can you cope up with such a fast when your market is only changing?
Mm.
You can't give a order. See, the traditional way of procuring fashion item or any retailer, you
Mm.
place say 10 20 collections in one style, 20 lines or different styles in one collection, and you issue LPOs to the different manufacturers.
Mm.
One manufacturer will only make jacket, other one will only make bottoms, third
Correct.
one will only make t-shirts. So those things. And then that is a traditional way, and there is a timeline of delivery is around 2 months to 3 months.
Mm.
2 months for the manufacturing, and say another 3 weeks for the transportation to reach your mother hub.
Correct.
Now this was a traditional way of functioning.
Yeah.
Then came a brand called Zara.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's revolutionized the entire supply chain.
Mm.
Zara is not the fashion success. Their success is not related or dependent upon fashion. It
Mm.
is their supply chain.
Mm.
They they have manufacturing units, and it's a another example or a strength of Zara is it started as a small in Spain. If you look at,
Mm.
there was lot of what we call the small scale industries,
Mm.
yeah, SSIs, so small scale industries. So Zara thought that this small scale industries are all not doing that good business, but
Mm.
they are in large amount of volume. In their width was spread across, but they each one was not producing good business because they were competing with each other.
Correct.
So Zara model was, can I leverage this manufacturing for hundred thousands of small scale manufacturer, or we in India used to also call them cottage industry. Yeah, can we utilize this cottage industries or small scale industries to my benefit by giving them consistent orders, so that their supply chain, their everything is continuing. The small scale industry will produce because they don't have the capacity, they don't require a capital to increase the more manufacturing capacity. Can I give them small orders, but I ask them to speed up and give me within 1 week or 2 weeks. So
That
it
is what
started, the idea started from there. And then
created Zara differently.
what, of course, so it's the two things that helped in the Zara model was, one is the supply chain, and second is inclusion of small scale industry or small scale or small business owners in their business model. Suppose and that is, if you relate it to another Indian brand called Amul. What
Amul.
did they do? Amul Makhan,
Okay, yeah.
Amul
Amul
Doodh,
is a
Amul. It's one of the world largest selling butter across the world. And what they do? So they brought the entire community of milk producers in Anand in Gujarat in a form of a cooperative society, and made each one the owner. That you are a shareholder, you are a brand owner in a brand called Amul. Amul today has 100,000 plus brand owners, the share stakeholders, and so until unless you involve a group, you can't become big. You can't eat the pie alone. So that's what Zara did. They brought all the small industries under them, gave them each one small, consistent, fast. But their premise was, if your other is taking 1 month to produce, you have to take 1 week to produce. Bringing the supply chain, the ordering, the trend setting or trend capturing from the market, from the cash flow, and converting into designs, into fabric, into the actual garment, into the shelf. They made it concise or compact or sweet in 3 weeks.
The whole lead time was optimized holistically. Yep.
And how can they do it? Until unless you have a good supply chain
Correct.
of movement of goods from here and there, you can't do that. Until unless you have a good management information system. Zara was the first retailer or fashion retailer to invest millions and millions of dollars on their information system.
Correct.
Because they could foresee, they had to integrate all the small scale industries under one channel, under one, they had to create that ecosystem.
Correct.
And they had to create the the logistics. It went to that extent that today, when a ship vessel carrying the stocks of Zara from one port to another port, has also an inbuilt manufacturing unit. So through the internet, the designs are transferred to the ship. The ship is from China to, on a journey from China to US with some old stock, with the already produced stock, and they are getting the new designs, and they are manufacturing it within the vessel. So the new trends arrives at America straight away. So this is amazing story. Now most of the fashion brands have tried to capture on this premise. H&M was one of them. Forever 21 was one of them. H&M, as you rightly mentioned, is struggling with their merchandise. What has happened actually is, in the demand forecasting, we call something in a fashion term fashion forecasting. A buyer or a buying department manager, or we call it category manager or merchandise manager, different terminologies are there. What they do, they capture a particular trend, and then they say, okay, this will sell 10,000 units. They check it out with the historical data of a similar past trend, how much quantities got sold, and they build up their requirement. They place their order, and that trend doesn't sell, then you're gone. Now there comes the integration of artificial intelligence tools. There is another brand I would like to quote called United Benetton, United Colors of Benetton.
UCB.
So what they do, UCB, exactly. What they do a bit different stuff. Before dyeing a cotton yarn into different colors, what they do, they only take a small batch of that yarn
Mm-hmm.
and dye it with different colors.
Mm.
Okay, orange, red, whatever the color the collection says. Produce limited pieces for say around 50 stores.
Mm.
Send the merchandise into this 50 stores,
And
and
get
first month and within first week they get the information which color is moving,
mm.
and then they dye the whole big the chunk of a bigger yarn of that color.
Makes sense.
So
Very
there
smart.
makes, so this is what, see the the solution to a problem lies within the problem. I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
So no technology can replace human mind or a human mindset. So what technology only is a facilitator.
Right.
So giving the data like how fast which color is moving, that is coming from their data, from
Yeah.
their system, POS system or whatever system they are using.
Mm-hmm.
But the simplifying things, which is why should I yarn the whole, why should I dye the whole yarn into a particular color and sell it? And if it doesn't do well, then I'm sitting with 1 billion worth of t-shirts of that particular color.
Makes
So
sense.
this is what the normal practices is, and this is what we as retailers have forgotten, or that
Yeah.
we got so much engrossed in different complexities of the business that we forgot the basic rules,
Basic
or a
fundamentals.
common sense.
Yeah.
So
So
this is
to
what
your
this is the reason of Zara having 1 billion of inventory lying down. Now, how this inventory is a problem creating a customer experience, which is one part of your project. When I am having a color or a particular collection which I don't like it, you think you, with your excellent customer service, you can still sell that merchandise to me? Can you?
I don't think so. If the person doesn't like
Exactly.
it,
You have answered. I don't like to wear say a grayish t-shirt
mm-hmm.
which doesn't make me feel good because it's a sad color, whatever color it is.
Yeah.
I will never buy, whether you give me a 10% discount or even 80-90% discount.
Mm.
So that's the problem. So your, the basic modeling, the forecasting of your supply chain, your fashion forecasting has gone wrong somewhere,
Yeah.
and end up, and what has happened also with the fast fashion today, since you can consider H&M as part of a fast fashion.
Yeah.
When you start up any retail concept, the brand pillars has to be, or a vision, the founder has to very clearly put these three things on the wall of every department,
That
that
this is what we
we
stand for.
call it vision or whatever statement you call
Mm.
it. Three pillars. One, that okay, whatever you do, I will be 40% fashion,
Mm.
60% business. So as a business, what I'm ensuring that 60% of my revenue is at least coming from the fashion part.
Yep. Hello. So can you hear me?
Shirts. White can take a simple styling, can become a black shirt, or it can, you can make it blue or pink or whatever. But the basic styling of a white shirt will always remain. There are common colors which are evergreen, like white, black, navy blue. These are evergreen
Evergreen. Yeah.
colors. Produce those brands by saying 60% of my collection will be basic, or 60 to 70, and I will only experiment with 30% of my
My portfolio
fashion
products.
thing. So
Yeah.
that 30% of which I'm experimenting is, you may say one trend does so, or one correction does so well
Mm.
that it will cover up the entire 29.
Mm.
So I am ready to play the gamble on 30% fashion mix,
Yeah.
and 70% is my core. When we
Yeah.
call core, we use this terminology called core. Core is been basic. The white shirt, the striped shirt, they never go out of fashion.
Out of fashion. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What can come into fashion is plates,
Mm.
which for last 2-3 seasons are doing very well. So
Mm.
the plates, I keep on experimenting with the fashion part. So
Yeah.
that's where my creativity is, of my
Nice.
designers, of my creators. Second premise founder or a owner should write is, what is my pricing going to be?
Mm.
So the basic can be that I will go with, for example, the basic can be I will go with take only little bit margin. I will not make money out of it.
Mm.
Whereas In the fashion, since it is a trendy, if people like it, they are ready to pay a premium on it. I will charge higher. Now, reverse the whole circle. Where it goes wrong, Arjun, is the brand says, guys, no, today I'm a fashionable brand. Let me change the mix. Designers team is equipped to face that kind of change? If yes, do it. Fashion is all, if you ask me, fashion forecasting and digital marketing has one thing common. And that one thing common is experimentation. You keep on trying experiment. You don't make one particular ad. I was talking to your colleague prior to this, and I was telling her about how we create a customer subset based on preferences, and those tags are the advertisings are targeted to that particular ad segments. And so you can create 100 type of customers under look-alike segment under all your Google ads or Facebook ads or Insta ads, and then target each different creative for each segment.
Each
so
strategy for each
run you never run a same ad for all like Coke and Pepsi does. You make 50 ads for your different 50 segments, ad sets, and then you see which one is working and which is not working. Hence, in digital marketing, a term called A/B testing. A is not working, you put immediately the B ad, and then you keep on monitoring किसमें ज़्यादा likes आ रहे हैं, किसमें views ज़्यादा आ रहे हैं, किसमें click कम आ रहे हैं. Then you work it all to your whole system accordingly. And this one thing which I feel common factor between fashion and digital marketing, or you call it social media marketing, whatever, is experimentation. Fashion is full of experimentation. Yes, you might like it, other people might not like it. Fashion in one part of the region or one part of the world may not be accepted in other. There is one more brand which I would like you guys to study other than H&M. Is a brand from America called Nasty Girl.
Nasty?
Girl. G-A-L. Nasty Girl.
Nasty Girl.
N-S-T-Y. Nasty Girl. G-A-L. What this... Okay, this brand has risen from... It's like a fast fashion or 2 times fast fashion. Or sometimes we call it as a disposable fashion also. What does they do? It came out from an insight in US that the people today are misusing Instagram. What they do, most of the people, everybody today are an influencer. Because anyone is having 1,000 plus followers and friends and all is an influencer, as long as you have a smartphone in your hand. So what the people do, they go to the fashion stores, they buy the garment, they come take a nice pictures of them in that outfit and make a misuse of return policy. So after 3 days, they go back to the store and return the merchandise. So because every store has something called exchange and return policy. Yes. Correct. So they make you misuse of that, and so there is this brand called Nasty Girl saw an insight from this. They said there's a big business model. Let's produce garments which are super pocket friendly, very high fashion quotient, very trendy, and produce it. And they got, I think so, one of the fashionista called Cardi B. She's an American influencer and fashionista.
Singer.
Yes. So they got her as a brand ambassador, and they launched a brand called Nasty Girl, and it's a huge runaway success because they use the digital insight how the consumer buying trends are changing, how to cater to Instagram generation.
Correct.
And they created $1 billion business out of it.
Definitely.
Can H&M do it? No, because they don't have that type of ecosystem or a DNA.
Yeah. So I was just reading about what different new companies. One, you mentioned Nasty Girl, and I think Chandrika and you were talking about the brand called, I'm forgetting the name, the Personalized Experience.
The Personalized Experience, I think Monte Grappa or Rolex.
No. Stitch Fix. Yeah, Stitch Fix. Yeah, Stitch Fix.
Yeah.
So these brands.
Stitch
So
Fix is not a personalized experience. Stitch Fix is the case wherein a community is driving the whole brand,
hmm,
wherein they invite all the budding designers
yes,
and to pitch for that event or to pitch for their collections into that thing. If you
correct.
are selected, it's like Oscar award
Yeah,
for a designer.
the designer.
So they have created, and who selects that particular design? The community itself design.
Hmm,
So what they are doing is you have to post your collection on their site and ask all the members of the community to vote for it.
hmm,
So it's a democratic way of functioning, building a community,
yeah,
and they have created $1 billion business out of it.
yeah. But brands like these have actually given the personalized experience to customers in a way that I feel special and personally driven when
How that
someone.
happens is
Yeah.
because because suppose you are a designer and I voted for your collection, and your collection tomorrow is in the store.
Hmm,
I will feel connected to you because I
okay.
voted for you.
Like,
So the whole premise is inclusion,
yeah,
the
inclusion
feeling
of
of
customers.
inclusion. I feel included, I feel appreciated. Oh, this is my design which I voted and it's been put here, means I did something right.
Yeah.
So by voting your collection or voting you, I did something right. So there is a see whole thing. Sales or retail is nothing more than understanding the psychology of a customer.
Customer. Yes.
So it's all about the seller's mentality. Also, the salesman who is on the floor should
Mhm.
understand what, as a brand owner, I should understand what my sales people mentality or their psychology is all about. If they are ready to understand the customers preferences, immediately I will close the sale.
Yes.
Otherwise the customer say no, I'll come back to you.
Yes.
Let me browse the collection, I'll come back to you. And that despite you offering them gift fees, you offering them buy one get one, still I will not buy.
We would never. So offers is not what would drive a consumer purchase.
There are different kind of consumers. There are people like discount seekers.
Yes. One segment of
I
customers.
will definitely go and buy it,
Yeah.
getting an HM. So then my business model changes.
Yeah.
I'm only producing for discount seekers. I know that I'm not going to get a full margin out of this garment. So I will price my item at high in the first and
Hmm.
slowly mark it down into the lowest.
So consumer perception that the price has dropped drastically. So why not make a purchase
And
now?
I will buy and I will buy it.
Why? What do you think brands like as you have worked with Forever 21 and with Zara, you have a lot of things that how the business model works. So what do you think these bigger established brands have done to provide a more personalized experience to their customers to cater their audience better? Are there any steps that they have taken in the same respect?
Yes. Take the example of UCB.
Hmm.
They have studied what is moving from say a sample set of stores, and then they do the entire merchandise planning by dying the particular same thing, but this are all are customer driven insights, correct? They
Yep.
keep on checking what is moving, what is not moving, and then immediately taking a corrective steps.
Okay.
Brand like H&M can also do it.
Yeah.
Their model, as far as I know, is 60% basic and 40% fashion. They are not a
Hmm.
completely fashion
Yeah, they're right, yes.
thing, correct? So if I know that 60% of my revenue is continuous business,
Mm-hmm.
I will not do markdowns on that. Maybe I will do markdowns once or twice a year. But when I know 40% is where I am gambling on, I
Mm-hmm.
should be, so my data or my insights should be so fast, the analytics should be so accurate and fast that the moment I see the 1 week this particular garment has not sold, immediately I should mark it down to 40%.
Hmm. Right.
So see, the fashion works. People don't use this thing called markdowns as a strategic tool. That's another mistake which most of the retailers make. They know, okay, after 3 months we'll do the markdown. First month, try to sell the full. That's the traditional way of thinking. First month, when the new collection comes in, we will sell it at full margin, full price. Second month, if it's not moving well, we'll reduce it to 20%, 25%. And third month, since the new collection will be coming in the fourth month, so let me mark down fully by 50% and clear it out. This is the traditional mindset. fast fashion retailer immediately sees that, they say this has not sold for $100. Can it sell it for $40? Immediately they will bring it down from the second week. And if that not moved even in $40, they will mark down to as low as $20. So
Yeah.
they are tracking each SKU, and that's where the technology comes and help them with their artificial intelligence tools to tell them that the system is advising them to do this markdown by X percentage based on the historical sales, based on the movement, based for like collections movement, and this is what they suggest.
Right.
So people has to, or the retailer has to start using markdowns as a statistical tool. We earlier conventional thinking or a traditional thinking was, if I'm not able to sell a garment for 100% margin, means that means I'm foolish. I'm a mere jaisa bekoof nahi. It was like a slap on the face of a retailer that using a sales, I'm not able to sell it at a 100% price, and hence I'm selling it at a discounted price. But that mindset is now changed because of fast fashion. If it's not selling, okay, I'm bringing a new collection, mark it down immediately. There is no wrong about it. Use it as a tool. Use it as a tool, strategic tool to keep the newness in the store.
Yeah.
And hence, when I use this word called newness is directly proportional to customer service.
Yeah.
How? If I come as a customer and I see 40% of the store new, and as a discount seeker, I see there are some items which are nice on deals available, I will definitely buy it. I will talk about it, and I will stay. My dwelling time inside the store will increase, and hopefully, with high probability, I even buy the core of the brand.
Yes.
Yeah. So as a brand, I will earn not only in the basic sale. I will also sell my fashion. I will also attract discount seekers. So I'm attracting all kind of person and trying to upsell. And this is the biggest thing of customer service. Customer service is not only assisting and greeting the customer. It goes a long way in understanding his mentality, his psychology, buying behavior, and then offering your merchandise mix for that particular customer.
Yeah, makes sense. So just what it does is, from what I inferred, is number one, get the discount hunters into the picture. Second, get the people who are looking into the unique and the new fashion products. And third, also it changes the brand perception that now Zara is a brand which is really into fashion. As soon as a new fashion is released, Zara latches onto it and creates a product.
Zara, if you are monitoring them in the region, they do only 2 times a sale in a year or 1 time sale in a year. And when they do the sale, entire store is on sale.
Yeah.
Why they don't have the inventory problem? Because they are tracking it, because of their information systems are so robust. They're very smart. Their stores are, it's one of the first brands which are using their store as a fulfillment center. Store, the back store of a Zara store, if you have ever get a chance to see, is like a warehouse.
In a warehouse.
And they are fulfilling not only online orders. Zara online is as big as becoming bigger than their physical store. Yeah. And one more